everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP, and I'm here today on this partner event from MS Dynamics World and Deal Hub. Today, we're going to talk about how to create a business differentiation through the Agile, CPQ, and CLM for Dynamics 365. So this is a great product, and I'm sure you're going to be very impressed by this organization. So I'm going to turn this over to EL, the CRO and co-founder of Deal Hub, and he can introduce himself and tell us a little bit about Deal Hub.
Hey, thanks a lot, Rick. Nice to meet everybody today. My name is El Orgil. As Rick said, I'm the CRO and a co-founder at Deal Hub. Deal Hub is focused on building CPQ and contract lifecycle management solutions for organizations running Microsoft Dynamics. We'll talk about a lot of capabilities that we have today as we go through things, but it'd be really great to introduce things to you and let you know a little bit more about Deal Hub.
Great. So today we're going to talk about Deal Hub, why CPQ, which I think most partners understand, but you're going to see that Deal Hub's more than just a CPQ. It's more deal management, some really great functionality we're going to talk about. We'll talk about end user benefits, partnering with Deal Hub as a Microsoft partner, and then we'll get into a few frequently asked questions. So let's jump right into more about Deal Hub, and I'll turn this over to you, Eyal.
Great, thanks a lot. So basically, we came about looking at putting together Deal Hub, which has now been about 8 years. We want to do something a little bit different. So as Rick mentioned, a lot of you know what CPQ is, but we really looked at the whole entire process of how organizations go about in their sales process. So we looked at a number of different ways and a number of different areas that you need to work with when it comes to areas like you're dealing with CPQ. So the operational efficiency, how well and efficient are your sales team working? How can you really use the CPQ to help your growth? How can you make sure you got the compliance in all the different areas that you have? So as far as your discounting, your legal compliance and so forth. And not only on the internal side, but also on the customer experience side. That's something we spent a lot of time on. So what we did with Deal Hub is we first and foremost took a different approach to what CPQ normally does. And instead of just saying, let's do a tool that talks about, hey, we got a product catalog and a price book, let's look at the salesperson first. We want to make sure that they're going to get involved in that. How do they do that? By having a very intuitive flow. So typically in CPQ world, we'll hear something called guided selling, helping a salesperson navigate that product catalog and the price book. We took a different approach. We said, let's create something we called a playbook. We want a very intuitive process. Think of almost like a wizard that we're going to take the salesperson through. We actually model that guided process to the way that the sales organization already works today. So the salesperson is used to doing a discovery with their customer, asking specific questions, and those are the exact questions that we model into our playbook. So we walk the salesperson simply through a process, and based off of that, in the background, Deal Hub's already got all the logic to put the right products together, the right prices, together with where they're selling into, what vertical market, what geographic territory, what kind of products and services they're selling, and all that is basically done for the rep. They just do their normal business, just answer the questions that they normally capture from their customer. So we really looked at the salesperson experience. What we also did from the operations side is we created something which is a no-code configuration environment. Why did we go that way? It wasn't just so we could say no code, it was so that we could put the ability for the business people to keep pace with business changes. So we don't have to run to technical people, whether it's an external resource or whether it's the IT department. We can allow the business application people to go and actually make the changes on their own. It does help us a lot in giving a lot of flexibility in how we put things together and being able to actually implement very, very quickly, which we do, but it gives a lot of control into the business side to go and keep pace with the changes. So it really becomes a business application. From the end customer experience, we created what we call digital deal rooms, the ability to share content in a digital format. So rather than sending out the same kind of Word and PDF documents that we've been sending out since the 80s and 90s, let's get into the 2022 era. Let's send out content in a video format. What we actually do, or a web format, I should say, what we actually do is create a website dynamically in real time, and we can share content. We can actually use it for more than just building out the quote. We can actually use it for sharing content, of course, the quote, the contract as well, and even signing that off and have that whole engagement back and forth with the customer. What that also allows us, because we're engaging with them in a web format, is we can start to go learn about the customer, how they're engaging with the content. Not only what are they doing, meaning they're opening it up and saying, okay, we know they opened it up, but where did they look? Where did they spend their time? What was of interest to them? That really gives us, we started to learn about that in the Corona area when we're all sitting at home and not seeing the other side, but it makes sense all the time when we're distant from a customer. We don't want to know just that they looked at something, but what did they do? What was that sort of digital body language that they have? What was the intent that they showed or reacted to based off of what they were engaging with and what they were seeing? So that's something we provided as well with that. The contract management we said along the way, if you're already putting together a quote, then you might as well be putting the contract together with. There's commercial terms that need to go with that. There's legal terms. It's a services agreement or some kind of EULA from the old days of terms or whatever we're putting together. There's a contract there that goes with that, legal terms. Let's put that all part of the same process. In fact, from the salesperson's perspective, all they do is keep answering the same questions. Only they might say, hey, if it's software, I don't want an auto renewal. And that's going to go and change a bunch of clauses in the contract automatically for them. Something legal's already said, this is what I'm okay with if you go and select that you want a certain option. So we really made it simple to have that in one process. And I think the whole package together, you really got an enterprise grade solution there. It's ready to go from organizations from very small, several tens of salespeople, up to those well into the thousands with very complex processes as well. So really created one great solution to help an organization through the entire sales process.
And EL, I think the partners really need to go look at these G2 reviews and start to understand this product's different. And the one I like the best is the one called Best Usability. Because when I was taking through your product for the first time, I was thinking, here's an application and part of CRM that salespeople actually want to use, right? This is going to help me do my job better.
Absolutely. One of the things that we said when we put the solution together is if you don't think of the salespeople for a sales tool, it's a failed project, it's a failed solution that you've got out there. If you don't think of the people that are actually using it. So usability is super key with us. It goes back to that process I said with the playbooks. We gave the salesperson something intuitive. Literally, we've had customers that they've trained their salespeople in 30 minutes. Why? Because they're not teaching them something new. Change management is the killer of any new application. They're saying, take the same process you do. You told us what you wanted. We work with the sales team as part of the configuration. They told us what they wanted. We put it in, so the usability is there. You get, I'll say 100% adoption. No one's ever going to get 100, but if we're getting 99%, that's super great as well. You've got to get that mass use by the sales team, and that's when you've got a successful process.
So let's jump into some of the customer benefits of using your application.
Absolutely. So just walking through each of these over here. First of all, what sales organizations always have a problem with, how do I respond quickly to the customer? Now, depending on the industry, some of that really means in minutes. I got to be faster than the competition. Others, it's rather than taking 3 or 4 days to get back to the customer, you can get back to them in an hour. But whatever industry you're in, whatever business it's in, getting back to a customer is super key. You want to get back to them, not just the response time, but getting back with the right information that they wanted as well. I'd expand that a little bit in terms of getting right information as quick as possible. One of the killers of any kind of organization that puts together configurations of something is those quoting areas, whether it's $100 cable or a $20,000 component that they miss, whatever it is, whatever business you're in, that's a pain for you. It's a pain in how you look in front of your customer. It could be a commercial pain in terms of someone's got to absorb that. A lot of issues around that. It could be delayed deliveries. So quoting areas is a huge area that CPQ obviously takes care of, and we do that in a very great way as well. The legal compliance and the sales compliance. Are you complying with the discount policies that you've set for the organization? So we don't have these rogue sales guys that are doing their own thing. I talked about the legal a few minutes ago as well, making sure you put the right clauses into the contract, but we don't leave it up to the salesperson, the old, I'll give you something on a napkin and write it out for you. We can still give them a lot of freedom, but we can put those compliance guardrails in place so the salesperson doesn't make a mistake. They can have flexibility, but we make sure that we address all their compliance. Accuracy into the pipeline. I don't know how any sales organization lives without it. How can you have salespeople just putting quotes out there without the organization knowing it is? Now, if you're in a certain industry where you have to go and get your inventory based off of forecasting, or it's just a matter of knowing for your CFO to know what they're reporting to the board for the next quarter, you have to have that accuracy. That means the details have to be in the CRM. To get them in the CRM, you want to have the salespeople want to do it, make it easy for them to do it. It'll be in there, and you're succeeding, going back to what we said of getting it something that the salespeople will want to use. Standardization, the number of companies that I've seen where salespeople decide on their own, the marketing people always love this, where they like to go change the logo. I think the logo looks a little better stretched out or something like that. Someone's gone and spent millions of dollars building this logo, and some lonely sales guy just decided, hey, I think it looks better in a different color or a different manner. Or the document itself. You're a professional company, you build your website, you build your buildings, you design all the offices, and then someone decides to put a Word document together with a whole bunch of bullets that are not lined up and things like that. While it sounds simple, that's what your company looks like when you go out to sell your solution. And that's really important to have a standardized look across the industry, across your organization. Renewals and expansions. Not all industries have this, but where that really comes into play is oftentimes either it's mistakes that happen there, or you'll see, especially software companies, you'll have people that spend a whole day or 2 days trying to do somebody a renewal where you could have done it in 5 minutes if it was automated. It can go into a lot of different industries as well. So we can really simplify that process as well, reducing the workload on some of the people, speeding things up, and it all feeds back again into that customer response time. So all these really work together to get the right solution in place to have a better and healthier business.
And now, EL, on top of the customer response time, we got to remember about the organizational response time, right? And the time salespeople take to actually create quotes and proposals. It's a killer for many organizations. They work hard to get to that point, and then the work they have to put into it, and the disorganization of their organization trying to get that quote out just kills their time management.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that we never take into account. Like the ROI, is this worth it? If you actually just looked at a salesperson, how much time they spent on a quote, they took 3 days to do a quote that they could have spent a day. That's 2 and some days they could have been out there in the field and generating more business. We tend not to look at that for some reason. When we do CPQ, people don't look at the ROI for some reason, but that's huge. And you multiply that across your sales team across the year, that's a lot of lost time to the sales organization. So definitely you have to look at, not just the salesperson, there's not only the product people, the operations people that have to get involved. If you got deal desk teams, a lot of people are involved in wasting a lot of time.
So let's talk about the ideal customer for DealHub.
Okay, we sort of find organizations fall into different categories. So you've got those that are more the smaller, maybe 150 to 1,000 employees, and you got those that are larger size. The people you're going to be talking to over there are probably going to be a little bit different as well, depending on the growth of the company. So the smaller companies, we tend to find under the IT group, probably a business applications type person, or it's a VP sales that's going to be looking at this. They're looking at things like streamlining the process. It's a kind of a general term, but they're looking at saying, look, it's a mess. We got to get something a little more organized over here. So they're going to talk about things like streamlining, or they want to automate process. One of those things is approval workflows, because instead of just sending emails and phone calls and Slack messages and whatever it may be of getting approvals, they want a flow that really is a flow. It's all organized, it's structured, and it brings the information back into the CRM. They want something that they can really sort of gain control of the sales process. Again, it's all over the place, the discounting, what they're quoting, how they're doing, it's not standardized, so they want to put that in place. What that's also going to take into account is sometimes a lot of these small organizations are changing. They're still trying to find their place. So they get all kinds of frequent business changes that they have to get to. They need to be agile. Things are changing all the time. I say it a lot in the software industry because we sell a lot to the software industry, but you see it in other industries as well, especially as you're growing. You've got to change, you've got to adapt, and you need a solution that will be able to adapt with you and be very flexible. You want to make sure, one of the key things as well is if you're not working with some sort of CPQ solution, you're maybe sending out a great Excel that somebody created. Sometimes it's the CEO that created it years ago and he's still, he or she are still maintaining it, but are they using the right version? Did you get the right one out to all the team? For some reason, one person's using it, got the old pricing on it, great. Like who's picking that up, when you're off on the pricing? So you want to make sure you've got that. As you get into the big organizations, they do have some of the same pains. You'll probably find there you're going to have some people dealing with business transformation or different things to do with the agility of your sales process and all that. So there might be a couple other roles that are dealing, or enablement might be another role that you're finding there. They're going to be looking at a few other things. Their sales tech stack, like it's getting out of control. How can I go look at all those different tools? We got a lot of siloed solutions. They're thinking, how do we bring that all together into a more organized fashion? So that's going to be another thing that they're going to be looking at. They're probably also in a situation where they may already have a tool, but they've been using it for 20 years and really it's not doing it anymore. Try to keep that updated with the latest and greatest. It becomes too hard, or you dealt with a program that they retired after 20 years and now who's going to maintain it? So they're starting to look at how they get into the modern world. It may not even be a web application, as everybody's gone to the web now. It still may be an on-premise type solution. They've got to do that. So they're going to be looking at those kind of things as well. And also looking at IT is probably overloaded with a lot of things as the company's grown. And you talk about some of that flexibility I mentioned earlier, the agility, you might want to put that back in the business side over here because it's just becoming too slow to react to changes because it's a big IT department and they got a lot that they have to do. So those are probably a few other things that are a little bit different when you get into those larger organizations.
And I think as partners go out and start having conversations about DealHub, they're going to realize that, I'm going to make a wild guess here, but probably over 60% of their customers are going to have these problems within CPQ and deal management.
I like to actually say probably closer to 100% have these kind of problems, but yeah, the ones that are ready to actually go and make a change, you're going to find a huge number of them. Oftentimes, it's just not prioritized, which is also kind of strange sometimes because you're saying the efficiency of your sales team, that's not priority. The fact that your VPs of sales are spending so much time approving quotes or chasing after salespeople, that's not efficiency. So there's a lot of things that they should be looking at. It might not prioritize, but it really should be. They should be looking at these things, and they definitely have these problems and possibly some other ones as well that we could address.
But I don't think this is an obvious problem sometimes. I think they've got a bunch of Band-Aid solutions around spreadsheets that they're using today. So no one's saying, hey, this is a big problem until they really start to look at it.
You say spreadsheets, I wish I could go back and reinvent Excel. It's the best solution ever made, but it has its limitations. So they probably don't realize it. They built, like you said, exactly some Band-Aids that are helping them so far.
So let's talk about CPQ transforming business.
Yeah, so maybe we'll look at some ways that we can basically help there. I think we have some examples, I think, right in the next slide. Is that what we have there? Yeah, great. So let's look at a couple of different examples, some organizations out there. One of those, Unit 4, it's an ERP manufacturer based out of the UK and the Netherlands. So dealing in human capital management, ERP, been around for a long time, large organization, thousands of people there, very large valuation and all that. And basically large sales team as well. What they were looking for is, they actually were doing a couple things at once. It's actually a very unique situation. They were going from a Salesforce environment to a Microsoft Dynamics environment. They actually needed a CPQ that could help them do that transition, which was something that we could do very well, but they also needed to go and provide a lot more functionality over there. So we actually helped them in a couple steps. It was a great solution that we worked with together with the Microsoft team themselves, who were transforming the company over in their CRM from Salesforce over to Microsoft Dynamics. We were able to come in, provide them a CPQ, provide them a lot of new capabilities that they basically were stuck on some old functionality that they were doing. We were able to give them that so they could generate their quotes a lot quicker, and really empower them a lot more with the changes that they were making in Microsoft Dynamics as well to have the CPQ up to date. So it was a really great and unique kind of customer. We did that. Just as an example, we talked about the speed of Deal Hub earlier. I didn't mention too much about it. This is an organization that went live in 3.5 months. When you look at CPQ projects, typically organizations will talk about 9 to 12 months. Not only did they go out with a CPQ, they actually transformed from a competitive solution of ours to another CPQ in 3.5 months. Super, super fast. And they were able to maintain it now on their own and getting all that value that I talked about earlier from Deal Hub.
So the second case study is very impressive for this audience because Click Dimensions is probably the most successful ISV in the dynamic CRM space.
That's right. Yeah, Click Dimensions are a really great organization. They were also looking to go and increase some of their efficiency. Things weren't working, the revenue leakage, there's all kinds of different issues that they were having over there. And they basically found by bringing Deal Hub in, they were able to go and deal with a lot of the issues, put a really smooth process in front of their sales organization, get that collaboration going. Their approvals, they were suffering from that. It was taking a long time. They were to put that in and really put a lot of visibility and transparency across the process over there. They also took a look and implemented our digital deal room that I talked about so they can increase the experience. This is an organization that deals a lot with buyer experiences and interactions, and basically they were able to go out and sell as a very modern company. In addition to all the great things that they do, they took our deal room and they're able to actually provide themselves and sell in a much more engaging manner using that capability to engage with their customers in a web manner.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about Agile selling with Deal Hub CPQ.
So there's a lot of different kinds of things that customers are gaining. We talked about some of the pains and all that, and we basically put together some numbers that customers have told us of what they've gained value from. I think these are really, really incredible. So like 500% increase in the speed of quote approvals. We talked about that. It's a streamlined process. It's not emails back and forth. It's not phone calls. It's not chasing after people. It's putting it. We actually have an ability when we send out an email message for the approval, we actually put in the exact reason they're getting it. If there's several people in an approval flow, everybody gets exactly the information that they want, and that's why we can do that really quickly. So it's not that you send out one cookie cutter email message and people are missing what they need. Everybody gets the information that they want. Increase in sales rep productivity. This is one, some stats from 20%. We've got sometimes even higher. We see that. I talked about the onboarding earlier, 100% onboarding, because you really see that we build it with the sales team, for the sales team. They want to use it. That change management is something they actually like. They like it because it actually gives them value, and they see that value and they utilize the solution. The training time, like I said, we've had customers literally in 30 minutes, they've been able to put their team through that training. It's a matter of teaching them in Dynamics. Go click on this button. That takes you into Deal Hub. Just follow the questions. Another click of the button and you're done. That's all you have to do. Everything is one single page, really simple, really straightforward. The accuracy of the quotes, there's nothing to say about that. If you make sure that they have a valid configuration, then of course it's going to be accurate. the decrease in the need for going back to the operations team to go back and ask them, how do I do things? Well, you made it so smooth and simple for them that they don't have to go back and chase after teams. And that goes back, and again, the cycle delays the response to the customer, overloads other team members. All of a sudden, you've eased that as well. So you've actually got some other values along the way. And the ability to go and keep pace with business changes. I don't know how people don't see how this is so incredibly important, that you can make changes and respond immediately, whether it's the CRO waking up in the morning, deciding something new, or the CEO or whoever it is and says, tomorrow we're doing it differently, you can react immediately. And it's not something that we're going to say, let's take 3 months to do it. And by that time, you're 3 months late for what you wanted.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about some of the partnership for success benefits.
Great. So what is it that you're going to get value with working with DealHub? Well, first of all, DealHub is the #1 CPQ in the industry. We talked about that briefly earlier in G2. For the last 4 years, we've been the #1 highest rated CPQ. So you have the ability to go and offer that #1 CPQ. You can actually offer a lot more value to the customer. As I said, with CPQ and our ability with the contract management, there's a lot of value they can put on top of the CRM. We don't work instead of a CRM. We add value to the CRM. We actually increase the usage of the CRM because we can actually take away a lot of the workload that might have to happen in the CRM. One place, do it in DealHub, we'll sync all that information back into the CRM. If you're up in a competitive environment, whether it's Salesforce or others, again, you've got the #1 CPQ, and we also know we beat them in their own environment because we also know how to integrate on the Salesforce environment. So you've got that #1 offering that you can go up against them. The quick time to value, the proven ROI of the solution, you've got a great solution to go out there and work with. The whole way we talked about it, providing a whole new digital transformation. This is organizations that are key on this. We have that ability. You're going to offer that capability, and we make it real easy to join. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Not much investment, easy to take part in it. And we're going to be there to support you as well. #1 CPQ, #1 partner, and we're there to help you.
Okay, Al, thank you very much. At this time, we're going to bring in your VP of Strategy Alliances, Omer, and he's going to tell us about your partner program. Omer, introduce yourself to the partners.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me, Rick. It's great to be here. So my name is Omer Fuchs. Very, very proud and glad to be with you all today on this special session about DealHub and our partnerships. And I want to tell you a little bit about the program that we've put together and all the wonderful things that Eyal just covered. And I want to tell you how easy it is to join us and grow with us, because there's a lot to do together.
Okay, thank you. Omar, let the partners know how great a program DealHub has.
All right. So let's start with what it is that we're doing to make it easy. First of all, this ecosystem is huge. There is so many customers out there. And you folks, the Microsoft partners, you meet your customers day in and day out. And you will meet them in different stages of their life cycle. We want to make it very, very easy for you to work with us. So first of all, we came up with a simple referral program. Something that is very easy, simple to join, a simple contract, and you have a framework to work with DealHub. There's no upfront commitment. You invest as you grow with us. We will provide you everything that you need to get started. So that's step #1. And again, training and all of that will be taken care of by us. So if we'll start with the sales training, will be taken care of by us. And actually, I think we can talk about the training in the next slide. So I want to talk about implementation partners. So some of the partners start with us with referral, but a lot of you are providing services, whether it's Microsoft Dynamics services or other consulting services. It's a natural development. So what I would like to mention is in the later stage, you can definitely also become knowledgeable and certified in the way to implement the CPQ by DealHub, and we have a full program planned for that. In terms of sales support, once you identify an opportunity, you will refer it to us. We will be there with our team to support you from the lead all the way to the win. We'll work together with you and we'll make sure that the customer sees the value of DealHub and Microsoft Dynamics. Sales and marketing support, obviously, in order to get to those opportunities, we will be happy to collaborate with you to create some marketing collaborations, marketing campaigns to get the word out of what is the added value of DealHub and Microsoft Dynamics and your services as a partner. And in those first projects that we'll do together, obviously, you can count on us, DealHub, with customer success and implementation services to make sure that the customers will get onboarded successfully, will see the value, And from that moment on, the wheel of momentum will start spinning. To summarize that part, I just want to say the rewards are very, very simple to understand. First of all, there is a referral program, so there's a referral fee like any other program. We're happy to share leads and to call you, our partners, to come with us to projects, and eventually implementation services that are so important for you are coming together, whether it's CPQ implementation services, CRM implementation services, all coupled together.
And I think around the services for the partner, I think once we get the customer looking at their CRM and how they can use it better, and we improve their user adoption, these projects just begin to expand, right? And there's lots of fine tuning on the customer end to be done. So I think this not only is going to help your customer, but it's going to probably kickstart their CRM usability.
Definitely, and I think you touched an important point there, Rick. Customer satisfaction, right? So as a service provider, as a trusted advisor to your customer, if you get the right CPQ coupled with the Microsoft Dynamics CRM, you're going to get yourself a very, very happy customer, and there's nothing better than that in order to ensure long-term business relationship.
So let's get started as a partner. What do we need to do?
Exactly so. So as I said, we're going to make it fairly simple, easy, with a very reasonable investment by the partners to join us. So we have a referral partnership agreement that gets us started. Everybody signs it. We're good to go. We are all official and in motion. And then the next step is obviously some sales training, awareness training for your extended team, for any consultant or a sales executive that needs to be out there and to be aware on how to identify the customers, how to identify the opportunities, how to ask the right questions in order to get to a very effective discussion about an implementation of a CPQ, whether it's a greenfield or whether it's an existing customer. And from that moment on, of course, we're going to provide our partners with everything they need in order to succeed. We have a marketing portal with some marketing assets. We're happy to share those materials that will enable the partner to use, a demonstration kit that we are already providing to our partners. And so everything that is required in order to generate the right awareness and to actually go to their respective market. And then, of course, there's a simple lead registration process and an online form to actually write and get those leads registered, so we will be able to respond and get to business together. And as I said, we want to spill that wheel of momentum. So we want to get leads, we're going to want to get opportunities to show the taste of success, to show some value to your customers, and then we'll create more and more momentum. That's pretty much the plan. Very, very simple and natural steps all the way. And the last point I'll make here is obviously when the time comes and we have joint customers, we're happy also to go with some of the partners into what we call implementation certification, which is a bit more advanced, and that will include some online training, on-the-job training, and all the way to certification that will enable partners to onboard and maintain the value to their customers for the long term.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a very comprehensive program. And let's go through a couple of the frequently asked questions that we have around Dynamics. What products do you support?
Well, today the solution works through Microsoft Dynamics 365, 365 or CE, depending on how it's used. So that's what we're going to work out of today for the CRM. We do have the ability to go and do some reading of information from the ERP. So you got the various ERPs out there that you're using as well. We'll be able to read in some of the data from there as well. Typically, though, the CPQ is going to run out of 365 CE.
Great. And how often do you do upgrades?
Being that it's on a web environment, basically we're doing continuous changes or additions to the solution all the time. So we'll see typically somewhere in the range of 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be coming up with new capabilities. So we don't limit it to just certain seasons of the year. What that basically encompasses is requests from customers and new innovations that we're coming with. So all the time there's new capabilities that are added, and all of our customers get access to those new capabilities. So even if developed for specific customers that have requested certain features, we make that available for everybody. Being that it's a configured environment, just a matter of configuring the right functionality that you want.
Let's talk about integration with Teams and Office.
So what we're looking at for the future is more on the team side. We're going to be doing it, as I said, we have the ability to engage with customers in a web format. And one of the things we're looking at is to add some capabilities to Teams over there. So while we're doing all kinds of engagements on Teams, that'll be something that we're going to be expanding expanding onto. So it's not with Office today, but definitely Teams is a direction that we're going to be integrating with in the near future.
Okay, and because you're an international company and our installations are international, let's talk about our support hours.
Absolutely. So we've got 24/7 around the globe. We've got people in Europe, we've got people in North America, and we've got people in the Far East as well. So we basically provide, especially for emergency support, you've got that 24 hours, but we definitely work all business hours, and we're there to, as Roman mentioned, we're there to support not just our customers, but our partners as well. So you'll basically provide very convenient support from our global team.
Okay, thank you, EL and Omer, for a great presentation. Are there any closing remarks for our partners? EL?
Just want to say there's a great opportunity over here. There's a lot of value that DealHub offers, a lot of differentiation that you can take into your customers. You've got customers that are looking for new capabilities. You have the ability to go in there and work with them on it. We're here to support you as well. So we're going to provide you more information all the time. We'll help you with that. You can always reach back to us. We're very collaborative in that sense. We'll work together with you if you've got ideas or how can you go into a customer, come to us. We've got a lot of best practices of how to deal with these things, and we're more than happy to work with you.
Okay, thank you for your time today, and I'm sure we'll be back to you shortly to talk more about, getting started with DealHub as a Microsoft partner.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye for now.